Okay, as I've mentioned in some previous videos, the guy yesterday and today, that's the establishment at the flea market I've been buying those LaserDiscs and records from lately, has been holding two LaserDisc players for me. He agreed to sell them to me for $30 a piece. I went ahead and picked up one of them today. It is a combination player from Pioneer. It will play CDs, CDVs, and LDs. It is the model CLD-D502. Now, as some of you may know who have seen my previous videos, I also have a CLD-D504. This one includes a number of features it doesn't have, and is missing some it does have. I'm going all the way over here to the far left. On the bottom, the button there is labeled Power, Standby/On. The button above it, intriguingly, is labeled SR, and I assume that means surround sound. And then to the right of that, we have the headphone jack, and above it, a button labeled, or a light rather, labeled Standby. To the right of the headphone jack, we have a potentiometer, which controls the output of the headphone jack. It's a little scuffed up, but I might have done that when I was moving it to the car. To the right of that is a button labeled Front Surround, and two buttons, the top one labeled Single, the bottom one labeled FL Display Off. Now the top button here is labeled Highlight/Intro, and the one beneath it is labeled Random Play. Now this is an intriguing button, and perhaps someone can tell me what it means. I'm sure Watcher 3223 will be able to tell me. It's labeled Film Mode. As I mentioned before, this is a combination player. All the way at the top here, we have a series of three buttons. The one on the far left is labeled Direct CD. That opens the CD tray built into the main LaserDisc tray. And then we have two buttons labeled A, Disc Side, B. That chooses whether you are watching or whether it switches over to side A or side B. This is a dual-sided player. Three more buttons. One on the far left labeled Open/Close, the one in the middle labeled Stop, and the one on the far right labeled Play/Pause. Beneath that are two lights. The first one labeled Surround, the one beside it labeled Film Mode. Then we have six buttons in three rows of two. Beginning at the top left, we have Audio, and then D-Level, Center, or Control, I think, CTRL, then A, repeat, B, and then left skip and right skip. And to the right of that, we have a shuttle jog wheel. I haven't tried it out yet, but I figure it's a really good bargain at $30. Okay, as I believe I mentioned earlier, the D502 has some features that the D504 doesn't, such as the film mode, whatever that is, and all those surround sound buttons on the front. But the 504 has a number of features this model doesn't. For example, the D504 has more than one set of composite outs. This appears to only have one set. Additionally, the D504 is a karaoke model. This is not. The D504 has AC3 Dolby Digital output. This does not. The D504 has S-Video output. This does not. It does have in and out ports for the control system if you don't have or wish to use the infrared remote. Manufactured in Japan, July of 1993. And one of the things I forgot to ask him was whether this model had a transit screw and whether it had been used before I got it. Turns out it does have a transit screw that locks down the laser pickup assembly so that it doesn't get damaged while you transport the system. Some models that I have do not have a transit screw. Others do. In fact, I've had a player, the NAD 5900, which had transit screws on the bottom. since I don't know whether this transit screw has been tightened or not, I don't want to mess with it until I talk to him and see what he can tell me. So I didn't even think to ask him whether it had a remote or not, wireless remote. Now, for those of you who have seen my earlier videos, you know that I have a Pioneer V8000, that is a high-end industrial model. It has an infrared remote, but it also has a mechanism that allows you to tie in the remote with a wire directly into the system. If, for example, the remote you're going to be using is not in line of sight of the player, which, you know, is an industrial model, so that makes sense. So I'm thinking that's what that is. Anyway, not bad for $30, I don't think. Okay, I picked up some more LaserDiscs at the flea market over the weekend. And Ian Wilson, 1978. I'm going to do these in reverse alphabetical order. A Time to Kill, Sandra Bullock, Samuel L. Jackson, Matthew McConaughey, and Kevin Spacey. Okay, these next two I picked up as duplicates for Buffer Kid, Star Trek First Contact. They're duplicates for me, not for him. For a while I'd send them to him. And Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. And now we're leaving the land of duplicates. Summersby with Richard Gere and Jodie Foster. Nine Months with Hugh Grant. Robin Hood and Tights. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner. Okay. Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger in The Marrying Man. Okay, this is a Richard Donner film. He directed the first Superman film as well as the original The Omen. Lady Hawk. Not a Gatefold Jacket. The Firm with Tom Cruise. Not a Gatefold Jacket. And finally, The Crush, which, yes, it's marked $5, but he only charged me $3.